At the edge of the northern forest, where the world seemed to end in white silence, stood a wooden cabin that time had nearly forgotten. The roof sagged under decades of snow. The windows rattled when the wind howled. And inside lived Eleanor Whitmore, 93 years old, alone, and stubbornly alive. Everyone in the nearest town, nearly 20 miles away, believed Eleanor should have been in a care home by now. Her children were gone. Her husband had died during a winter storm 40 years earlier. Friends had slowly disappeared like footprints under fresh snowfall. But Eleanor stayed. She stayed because the forest had become her family. Every morning, she rose before dawn, wrapped her frail body in thick wool, and sat by the window with a cup of weak tea, watching the trees breathe mist into the cold air. She listened, to the wind, to the cracking ice, to the distant calls of unseen creatures. That morning, however, something was wrong. The forest was too quiet. No birds. No distant howls. No rustling beneath the snow. Only silence. Eleanor felt it in her bones. She reached for her coat. Chapter 2, The Cry Beneath the Ice. The snow was knee-deep, heavier than usual. Each step Eleanor took was slow, deliberate. Her cane sank into the ice with a dull crunch. Just a short walk, she muttered to herself. Just to the old pine. She had walked this path for decades. Even now, nearly blind in one eye and shaking in the hands, she trusted her memory more than her sight. Then she heard it. A sound so weak it could have been mistaken for wind. A whimper. Eleanor stopped. Her breath caught in her chest. There it was again, thin, broken, desperate. She followed the sound toward a frozen creek, its surface cracked like shattered glass. Near the bank, partially buried in snow and ice, lay a fox cub. Its fur was matted with frost. One leg was twisted unnaturally. Its eyes, too large for its small face, fluttered weakly. It was dying. "Oh, you poor thing," Eleanor whispered. She knelt, ignoring the pain screaming through her knees. The cub tried to move but failed, releasing a soft cry that pierced her heart. Predators were dangerous. Everyone knew that. But Eleanor had lived long enough to understand something most people never did. Fear does not erase mercy. She took off her scarf and gently wrapped the cub. "I won't leave you here," she said. "Not in the snow." Chapter 3, A Dangerous Kindness. Getting the fox cub back to the cabin nearly killed her. Her arms burned. Her breath came in sharp gasps. The world spun around her more than once. Still, she kept moving. Inside the cabin, Eleanor placed the cub near the fireplace, feeding it warmth inch by inch. She cleaned its wounds with trembling hands, whispering softly as if the fox could understand her. For hours, the cub hovered between life and death. Eleanor stayed awake all night. At dawn, the fox opened its eyes. Not in fear. But recognition. They locked eyes, human and wild, and something ancient passed between them. "Live," Eleanor whispered. "Please, just live." The cub did. Chapter 4, The Eyes in the Trees. For 3 days, Eleanor cared for the fox. She fed it scraps. She splinted its leg. She spoke to it as she once spoke to her children. But she was not alone. On the second night, she felt it. A presence. She peered through the frosted window and froze. Eyes. Dozens of them. Amber and gold, glowing between the trees. Foxes. They stood silently, watching the cabin. Watching her. Eleanor did not scream. She did not reach for the rifle hanging on the wall. Instead, she opened the door. Cold air rushed in. "So," she said calmly, "you've come for him." The foxes did not move. The largest among them, a scarred old male, stepped forward. He lowered his head. A bow. Eleanor's heart pounded. She understood. Chapter 5, Letting Go. The next morning, Eleanor carried the cub outside. The foxes emerged silently, forming a half-circle around her. The cub struggled weakly, then froze when it saw them. The old male fox stepped forward and gently touched noses with the cub. Eleanor placed the fox down. Her hands lingered for a moment longer than necessary. "Be strong," she whispered. The cub limped toward the forest, disappearing into the white. The foxes followed. Before vanishing, the scarred fox looked back. Their eyes met. Then they were gone. Eleanor returned to her cabin, unaware that she had just changed her fate. Chapter 6, The Storm That Should Have Killed Her. 2 weeks later, the storm came. Not just snow, a white monster. Winds screamed like living things. Trees snapped. Temperatures dropped to deadly levels within hours. Eleanor tried to prepare, but age betrayed her. The fire went out. The generator failed. By nightfall, her fingers were numb. Her breath came shallow. She collapsed near the door. The cold began its slow work. "Not like this," she whispered. Darkness crept in. Then, a sound. Scratching. Then more. And more. Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. The door shook. Chapter 7, The Return. The door burst open. Foxes poured into the cabin. Dozens. They circled Eleanor, their bodies pressing against her, their fur warm, alive, moving. She felt heat. She felt breath. She felt life. The scarred fox stood near her head. The cub, no longer a cub, stood beside him. Stronger. Bigger. Alive. The foxes stayed all night, forming a living shield against the cold. By morning, Eleanor was alive. Chapter 8, The Humans Who Came Too Late. Rescuers arrived days later, stunned to find Eleanor alive. "What happened?" one asked. She smiled faintly. "My family came back," she said. They laughed, uneasy. But outside, near the cabin, the snow was covered in fox tracks. Hundreds of them. Chapter 9, A Legend is Born. Eleanor lived 3 more years. Foxes were often seen near her cabin. No traps ever worked there again. Hunters avoided the forest. When Eleanor passed peacefully in her sleep, the town held a small funeral. That night, foxes howled. Not in fear. In mourning. Epilogue, Kindness Never Dies. The cabin still stands. Travelers say that on cold nights, if you're lost in the snow, you might see foxes watching from the trees. Guiding. Protecting. Because kindness, once given, never truly disappears. It returns. With an army.